Calm and quiet mind. I talk in other YouTube videos about the importance of having a calm and quiet mind. With calm and quiet mind, I say we can make better judgment. When the mind is not calm, disturbed, occupied, we don't see things as they are. We start to create like a dream. And like a monkey mind, the mind starts to play its own game. It's almost like a movie. You're creating your dream within your mind and chasing the dream. So you're detached from the reality of what's going on. You don't know who you are. Does it make sense to say that there are moments or the state where we don't know what we are doing? It's about the subconsciousness or unconsciousness, the habitual patterns. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's very negative, that the bad experience in the past may pop up and chase on that. It may be a pleasant experience and you start to sit in that state or chasing that state. Calm and quiet mind, I think I picked up this term from my meditation experience, Vipassana, and also Zen, but I think you can find the same idea in different spiritual pursuit, religions. We're not talking about the dogma, but the technique or the state of having a calm and quiet mind. And with that, in meditative state, you may start to know more about ourselves. Know thyself. That's a very good question or the statement, because if we don't know who we are, what we are doing, what is life, who is driving. Now, when I say we don't know what we are doing, what is that we can know about what we are doing? It looks like there are two we's or two myself. I don't know what I'm doing. So who can have that I know what you're doing to get the meaning of know thyself? It's a tricky question, maybe a paradox, but the easiest way to discover is not get into a philosophical debate or argument, because that then become the mind playing its own game again without the reality of what's going on. We need to practice calm and quiet mind in our daily life. In meditation, you are in a controlled setting. You may have a quiet setting, and there's no disturbance from daily events as much, at least for one day, 1 hour, 10 minutes. It could be a retreat for 10 days or more. But if you have a long time sitting, then you start to know yourself, get deeper, and start to realize what this may mean. But at the end, we are not sitting or we are not conducting a life in a controlled setting in most of us. Even the monks, they cannot be just sitting forever. There's an idea that that's ideal to be like that, because you can then establish the practice and just be calm and quiet. But most of us, maybe 99.9% of us, may choose to live in our daily life. So, how do we practice this calm and quiet mind in our daily life? From moment to moment. How do we know what we are doing, what our mind is doing? So let's see if we can find such a state just quickly here. I'm not sure if I can explain it, but we can try it. So let's see what it means to have a calm and quiet mind now. If your mind is silent, calm, quiet, can you have such a state? Maybe some thought may pop up. That's okay. But let's study, investigate again how we may realize that mind is moving. And if we can start to realize the mind, the movement, what's doing, you may find as if there's another entity of you watching your mind movement. That's the paradox I was talking about. And let's see if that can be understood in this moment-to-moment practice right now. Here we go. The trick, because we don't have enough time to go through this, maybe we have another session some other time, but the trick is that dimension. There's the observer of what's going on. There is that mind movement as observed. So you can see the mind movement, so to speak. Then you have a base of calm and quiet mind. And if you don't have a calm and quiet mind, and you are occupied in the monkey mind, or the movement itself, then you're already off, meaning you don't have the calm and quiet mind. So let's try that, if you can understand what it means in your situation right now. You want to pick up, basically, when the mind starts to move, and if you start to pick up, the moment you have that mind movement and the observer watching that, then that may indicate that you have a calm and quiet mind, right? Let's see. Maybe you start to see what I mean. Maybe not. You may start to think. If you start to think, that means the mind is doing the job. At the state of calm and quiet mind, you don't have a mind playing around. Or you can say, if you have a calm and quiet mind, you see that mind playing around, therefore you have an observer, observed. And if you have that observer, meaning the calm and quiet mind, then you are still with it. But if you're caught up in the mind, and mind moves and keep on moving, and you're just involved in that activity of the mind, you are just in the brain, the mind. In one of the books, I called that book Results from the Heart. That was more for the business. I didn't go much into it. But I mentioned the thought of use the brain, listen to your heart, and live with your mission. Listening to the heart indicates there's something else than the thought itself. And if you can connect to that, that's what I'm saying, that you have a calm and quiet mind. So we don't have time to go through this together right now. Maybe there's another session that we can go through. But just remember that exercise and to see if you can identify the mind movement from something else. And that something else may not be anything. It may be just a spacious space. And in that peaceful, calm, quiet space, you see the mind floating and moving like a cloud. So it's a paradox of the brain and the heart, or the mind, and you can call it like a body in a way. Or you can say that as the mind moves, there's a reaction in our body sensation to that. And you can study this in the meditation like Anapana, breathing exercise, or others. But basically, essential point here is to have the foundation or root or being, state of being of spaciousness, we can call emptiness, and feel very comfortable about it instead of mind starting to play its game and occupy the attention so that we get caught up in that. Because once we get caught up, we may be losing here, now, and our base of being. And if we lose that, it's as if you lose the understanding of what's going on in our mind. I don't know if it makes sense. It's almost like a triangulating. You have the mind movement, there's a space. So the space would find where the movement is. The movement may come this way or that way, but you can see it. And as soon as you see it, then expose that's just the mind play. That mind movement may lose its energy, so to speak, and you go back to that calm and quiet mind. Because what's the point of thinking about dinner or meeting or relationship or things in the past if we just want to be calm and quiet? The calm and quiet is to be familiar with that calm and quiet state of mind. And there's a very unique state, wonderful state. I don't know if I call it wonderful, because if you want to have some wonderful state, that's the mind playing. So it's just a state. That's why you cannot identify it. That's why the people talk about the state of calm and quiet mind as like a no mind. There's no mind. So in that state of no mind, the mind moves like a floating cloud. Or I used the word mirror mind in one of those videos. Mirror is showing something, but the mirror itself doesn't change. One of the Zen phrase I like is that it says something like, when the brush moves, the shadow moves on the floor, but the dust doesn't move. Or sometimes people compare the state of wave and ocean. There's wave, ripples, but the ocean is quiet. So all these phrases kind of point how the calm and quiet mind may work to realize what's the reality, impermanent nature of the mind, the event. And when you have that as a base, you have added, so to speak, a third eye. To know what's going on, to know thyself. And that is the point also about awakening or bringing the insight about the nature of the situation. Idea may pop up. And you can play with some of the mind, but so far as you can sort of like cleaning up and let it go, there's more things pop up. And out of that, maybe some insight that you didn't think about. What would be the example? It's like a chaotic house and unorganized office and the files on the computer. If things are not organized, it's very difficult. You jump on this, jump on that, but by the end of the day, you may do something, but you may get lost what you actually did. So what's important and not important is not clear, because you dip into this and that and lose the balance, so to speak. So it's very helpful. That's why many organizations these days have a room for meditation or even practice as a group or individually, because that is the relationship to focus on what's needed, that's something important, and therefore your productivity would increase. The quality of work increases too. And along with it, it's like I said, with calm and quiet mind, we can make a better judgment, right judgment. I think that's the basis of why I thought if there's something I can contribute, it's the process that I want everyone to understand. So my plan is to donate 90% plus of my net asset to Vipassana organization, because I had this profound learning, understanding by Mr. Goenka's teaching, this 10-day meditation course. You don't have to do it. You can do it by yourself. But if you are really interested to understand what it means, there's different ways to do it. There may be silent meditation or silent prayer in the Christianity and others. All religions have such a quiet moment, as if talking to God, or some may say so. There may be other expressions. But the bottom line is to have that open, empty mind and let things to reveal itself. I hope You get some idea. I hope you practice a little bit here and there. That's the opening, the beginning to a very, may I say, interesting, unique, profound state of our being. And that might change life, your life's journey. And who knows, you may appreciate more about what's going on, even if we may have to go through some difficulties in life. Why? Because we may find the foundation of who we really are and what we can do. May all beings be happy. I just add my mini company idea that I practiced in business. It's a commercial here. Is connected to this. To activate what's inside of us and connect to that. And the organization may transform as each individual may transform ourselves by going through this practice. It may not be simple and easy, but it may be simple and easy if you keep practicing and you get to know more about it. And hopefully you have some enjoyment in the discoveries and what this may mean for your life. Thank you.